morning and welcome. Oh, we are so happy to have you all here. Is this on? Okay. Do I need to be closer? Yeah. I'm not very good with my phone. And welcome. We are so happy to have you here and thank you for braving this morning's traffic. And for anyone who needs the restroom, you go out the door, turn left. It's always helpful to know. I'm Bobby Miyazaki. I'm co-chair of the Baltimore Women's Giving Circle Grantee Connect Committee. And my other co-chair is Catherine Morris. Catherine, stand up. And our committee members, please stand up and just wave. Because this has been a group effort. So thank you. And now to talk about our wonderful speaker. Barb Van Winkle is the immediate past chair of the Women's Giving Circle of Howard County. And she has been a strong supporter of the Women's Giving Circle since its inception in 2002. She's currently on the advisory board and membership and development and finance committees. Barb also serves as treasurer on the board of Philanos, the leading national Women's Giving Circle network. Barb is president of the Nancy Adams Personnel in Columbia, where her company has been for over 40 years. Her business specializes in providing top-notch candidates to all size companies for administrative, customer service, accounting, and office support positions, both permanent and temporary. She has a BA degree in sociology from Goucher College and served for 8 years on the Goucher Board of Trustees. Barb has served on many nonprofit boards, including the Community Foundation, of Howard County for 9 years, and on the Howard County College Education Foundation Board for 24 years, where she served as chair for 2 terms. Now, if that's not enough, she has also, she's been long-term chair of the annual Silas Craft Collegian Dinner, and she has participated for over 30 years in area triathlons. Now, she loves golfing, practicing yoga, and walking with her wife, Joan. They both love spending time with her three sons and their young granddaughters and grandsons. So please give a big welcome to Barb Van Winkle.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm not as tall as you. Okay, can you hear me? Yes. Okay, all right. I am very proud to be here today. I love talking about women's collective giving and engaging the next generation of donors. Since, I can look around the room and certainly a number of us are of older ages and we need to have people that are younger coming in to help us. So, okay, so today I'm going to present you with information on women's collective giving, not just here in the Baltimore region, but across our country and beyond. The movement has become very powerful, and you will see as I go through the slides here. I will discuss how women's philanthropy is democratizing and changing the face of philanthropy, and how it will be the next generation of women donors who will lead how women's increasing philanthropic dollars are allocated to the change they want to see. And I will highlight the data and background information about women's philanthropy that applies to the engagement of women donors, and in particular, the next generation. Remember to change slides. All right, I'm going to start by telling you a little bit about our giving circles. We at the Women's Giving Circle of Howard County are honored to be longtime partners with our friends at the Baltimore Women's Giving Circle. The BWGC has had such an incredible impact in Baltimore, in our state, and actually throughout the region. So, and we're really lucky to have such a powerhouse women's collective giving circles in our area. Philanos, the National Organization of Women's Collective Giving, had a conference in November of 23 in Baltimore, and it was that's how I met many of you, Tara, Renee, Ann, and it was just a great thing. So, and I think we had 6 or 7 giving circles in the Maryland region that participated. So, and it's funny because our circles were both formed 25 years ago. It was in Baltimore, with, one of our founders, many of you probably know her, Buffy Bedoin Schwartz. She is now our current executive director. And she worked for, at that point, Maryland, Philanthropy Network, and we're hosting this event at night, and it was a rainy, windy night, and they were sure that no one was going to come because of the weather. And interesting, as it turns out, the room was packed, and the energy in the room was just incredible, the synergy. So, and that is the start of both of our organizations. Anyway, our partnership and collective power has continued to grow over the last 25 years, and our circles are structured very differently. Women's Giving Circle of Howard County does not have any annual dues. If you donate, you are a member. You donate any amount of money. So we do it a little differently. The founders of our organization, when they started, wanted to build an endowment, and that's what they put their efforts towards. So we now have, I'll say it later, over $1 million endowment that is now throwing off money every year. So it's a great way that, in perpetuity, we'll be able to help women and girls. Okay, oops, let's see, let me go to the next slide. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about, again, furthermore about Howard County. We have given over $1.2 million to our nonprofit partners. As I said, we have a $1.1 million endowment from 1,700 different donors. And this year we will give $100,000 in grants. And we're able to do this by providing an inclusive platform that has 4 distinct ways for women to donate to the WGC. And this helps support donations from all generations. In fact, this is great, I love this. We had a young women's giving program this year called Break the Cycle that is helping our yearly period product drive. In 2 weeks, they will give a $5,000 grant. So these are young, the Gen Z girls that are in high school that are doing this. And they are truly amazing. I don't know if I'm on the right slide or not, but anyway. Okay, so the last decade, we have enhanced our core values to better meet our mission by implementing, be careful to say this, a diversity, equity, and inclusion lens to all of our work through a measurable action agenda with the goal to ensure that all WGC activities reflect the organization's commitment to the DEI in practice, policy, and governance. We have a robust website, blog, e-newsletter, and social media presence, and all of this helps lift up our efforts to tell our story. You can learn about all the work that we're doing with a QR code on here. I want to make sure it was on there, and we'll get it to you if you need it, but that has all the information about our social media, the blog, everything's e-newsletter, all that stuff is on there. Okay. Okay, so this is about collective giving. I told you, I'm proud to be here as a representative not only of Women's Giving Circle of Howard County, but also of FilmGhost, the national organization. And the collective giving force movement is really growing throughout our country. It's just something that we're able to engage, share, connect, and inspire each other as women donors. The BWGC and WGC are part of this wonderful association of Philanos, and there are over 20,000 women that are in our network. And they're from all over the United States, plus we have, I think, 2 in Australia and 1 or 2 in the United Kingdom. So, we are now, we could say we're international. And they, again, people join our resources because we want to pool our resources, and you get more information from the Philanos network. As impressive as our network is, we are part of a larger philanthropic sector known as collective giving, which is very enticing to women of all ages. The networking, socializing, learning, and connecting that collective giving offers is democratizing philanthropy and bringing in many new faces and voices and ages of female donors. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so the latest landscape of collective giving in abundance shows that the participation in collective giving has grown to over 4,000 groups, contributing $3.1 billion, more than doubling its impact in 7 years. That's, I think, amazing. This fuels not only greater civic engagement, but also fosters improved mental well-being while bridging political divides. Here are the key findings. Collective giving is democratizing and diversity philanthropy. Collective giving greatly expands what gets funded. Collective giving pushes the bounds of how philanthropy is practiced. Collective giving deeply impacts members themselves. And finally, collective giving is a catalyst for social change and cohesion. These are all aspects of women's giving that are highly desirable for younger, the next generation of female donors. Okay. All right, so women's share of wealth has risen considerably over the last 50 years. Today, women hold approximately 40% of global wealth. Across income levels and generations, women are more likely to give and give more than their male counterparts. And from motivations to causes to behavior, women and men demonstrate different giving patterns. All right, so women give differently. They want to do more than just write a check. They want to be involved. They want to have a personal relationship with the causes that they want to support. Women's giving encompasses the 5 T's. You know at least 3 of them: time, talent, treasure, testimony, and ties. And these all make our communities better. Women leveraging their giving. Compared to men, women are more likely to spread their total giving across a number of organizations. Women like to collaborate, as Melinda Gates has said. This is our strength as women. We cooperate, we collaborate, and we innovate to amplify our voices and accelerate change. Women want information and impact. They want facts and data before making their giving decisions, and they want to understand what the impact is going to be. Women, in addition to that, women want to seek information and impact. They want to be engaged before making their gift through conversation, communication, events, and/or volunteer time. Okay. All right, so the rise of the next generation of female donors. This is really, the philanthropic landscape is experiencing a significant evolution by the rising influence of the next generation of female donors. Bank of America Institute projects that by 2035, $30 trillion in wealth will be transferred to younger women, most notably the children of baby boomers. According to a recent article in Inside Philanthropy by Hannah Nutrizuki, this new generation of philanthropists, primarily millennial women, is transforming giving by challenging traditional norms, reshaping philanthropic practices, and prioritizing causes that create lasting impact, especially those focused on supporting women and girls. Millennial women are twice as likely as older generations to view wealth as a means to create change through charitable giving. Young donors, millennial and Gen Z, want to do more than just give financially. They're seeking more in-person interactions and community-oriented experiences. They value the communal aspects of giving and the impact collective giving can have. The integrated approach by giving today's younger donors, and women in particular, encourages nonprofits to prioritize meaningful connections with their donors and create opportunities for them to be involved beyond a financial transaction. Okay, so trends that we're seeing. So some of women's giving has been shifting away from standard philanthropic giving into more political activism. In other words, giving to nonprofits that reflect the causes and viewpoints that they care about. This is likely to increase this year, given some of the challenges that we are facing as a country in general, and those that are impacting women and the next generation specifically. The gender of the giver is important, but what's also important is the focus on the gender lens in the allocation of funding. What women and girls are focusing on is increasing the amount of dollars dedicated to women's giving. You may have heard this before, but it's shocking, given that less than 2% of all charitable giving goes to programs that support women and girls. That's a sad, I have to say, that's to me very sad, since we make up at least 50% of the population. So anyway, all right, while the pandemic catalyzed philanthropic action in the United States and around the world, giving to women and girls causes continues to lag in other areas of philanthropy. The pandemic erased progress that had been made towards gender equity, and women and girls will need additional resources to continue to make gains, and the next generation of donors are interested in supporting this. Additionally, societal conversations inspired by racial and social justice movements also raise questions about the dearth of funding for women and girls of color and spurred donors to action, the next generation among them. And next generation are relying on local activists for advice and guidance on all issues. After all, those that are doing the work on the ground and are the ones that possess the most effective knowledge of the issues. This helps create important relationships between resource partners and donor activists, and it underscores a trust-based philanthropy philosophy. And can I get a round of applause for all the nonprofit leaders who are here today, who are on the ground making things happen in our community? Okay, all right, so here are some overall themes that we're seeing. Given the context, background data, and trends we're discussing this morning, here are some themes to consider. Women want to learn about giving, nonprofits, and the community. The next generation donors in particular can be reached by providing information and engagement opportunities focused on current events that are impacting them. Women like to network, socialize, and give together. Community is important to the next generation donors, so consider how to build it based on your mission, resources, and capacity. Women want to see the impact of their gifts. Engagement beyond just funding is important. In particular, the next generation donors want to have that opportunity to bring a new and creative engagement, and they want to bring their family, their friends, and their networks. So keep that in mind for engaging younger generation donors. Okay, all right, so strategies. Here, there's some specific 3 things that I think are really good to, again, start your path towards trying to engage more younger donors. 1, provide easy, informative, and transparent online donation options. Millennial and Gen X donors are more likely to initially find what they want to support online, probably on their phones. And make it, and if it's easy and informative engagement, that will have an influence over what they're going to pick to support. Consider ways to provide peer-to-peer fundraising options and be transparent. 40% of millennial and Gen Z donors do a lot of research into their nonprofits before they make a donation. All right, 2, provide ways to get involved that go beyond money. As the saying goes, time is your most precious asset. 70% of Gen Z and millennial donors say they would rather donate their time over money. And we all have an opportunity to be clear about how we're providing engagement opportunities to next gen donors through both. 3, use social media to tell your story. Millennials and Gen Zs are the power users of social media, and it's where you can best and easily connect to the donors to tell your story. Make a simple plan to do this with a clear message that your donors can connect to so that you can invite more voices and faces to your table. Put these stories everywhere, in addition to social media, put them in emails, on your website, in a blog, everywhere, whatever tools you have. Use social media as well to comment on current events and serve as a thought leader for issues that are central to your mission to tell your story. Okay, that I think is the last thing. I hope I've given you some background on women's philanthropy and collective giving, you know, not just here in the Baltimore area, but really across our country and beyond. It really is a truly powerful movement, and the fact you're all here now, I realize you believe in it also. So women's philanthropy and women's collective giving is democratizing philanthropy and changing the face of philanthropy. As women's philanthropic power continues to grow, it will be the next generation of women donors who will lead how philanthropic dollars are allocated for the change they wish to see. All of us have an opportunity to consider how best to engage the next generation of women to the causes and issues that we are focused on. I hope this discussion has been helpful to you all, and I'm certainly happy to answer any questions that you may have. Yes, a question already.
You talked about social media being a way to kind of tell stories and engage
Right.
millennials especially. Do you know which platforms women use the most?
That's a great question, and I don't, honestly, being in my 70s, no, I don't know the answer to that. I have 3 sons, so I have granddaughters, but they're way young. They don't use social media yet. I can find out for you, though. I'm very happy to do that. I mean, yeah, do you know? Yeah, oh, Renee probably knows, right?
May Gordon, I'm a circle coach here with Baltimore Women's Giving Circle and a very good friend of ours.
On the Philanos board with me. She's the secretary, I'm the treasurer.
Blue Sky has become very, very popular
Good, thank you.
with the younger generation. Many of we've seen in Philanos, a lot of the young women have gone away from Twitter, now known as X, moved to Blue Sky, and have found that Blue Sky offers a lot of options. One option that we've seen is there's philanthropy tax. And so that if you can create a profile on the Blue Sky, and if you're following, let's say you're following the Gates Foundation, it can link and can get you to other types of research information about philanthropy. We also still see a lot of Instagram with pictures and you know, about events and things like that. But we're just really seeing Blue Sky emerge as a front runner.
Thank you, Renee. I appreciate that. Now I've learned something, so that's great. Yes, another question.
So I think one of the things that you've consistently pointed out is the role of engagement, especially with younger women. So I feel like our organization may not be unique in the dilemma that we face. So we rely on volunteers to tutor young students in city schools. And what we have been finding in the last few years, especially since COVID, is that fewer businesses provide those community hours to their employees. So we're kind of in a dilemma where we attract a lot of retired women
Sure.
as volunteers.
Right.
But now, and I feel like that issue of so corporate citizenship is sort of shifting, but it's not reaching out, it's not enabling younger people in general and women in particular to engage in the community work that we are doing. I don't know if anyone else is facing that kind of dilemma or what you
Yeah,
are
that's
hearing
interesting.
from younger women and how do they get into nonprofits that have sort of what I call day programs, daytime programs.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
To answer, can I
Oh, yeah.
just check, how are people hearing in the room? Can you hear our speakers all right from the
Yeah.
back? Okay.
Yeah.
And if you would, when you have a question, would you mind just identifying your name and organization, so I'll just get to know you? Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting question, and one of my sons works for PNC, and they actually promote being volunteers, like they give their employees time off. Maybe smaller places may not, but, I'll have to check with him to see what else he might know, like for other organizations. I think, again, I hate to think, I mean, volunteerism has been around in our country since, the very beginning, and, but you're right, how do you get those younger women particularly to be able to go out and be part of your organization and so that the baton can get passed to them. So I don't know, I'll have to think about it. I mean, anybody else have thoughts about this? Yes.
I think I can add impact from prepare. I actually had to transform some of my processes to allow people to work that had different schedules. So I do goal and reentry support. And initially we had the idea that the volunteers were going to go into the prison and they were going to work with individual clients and they were going to take somebody all the way through. And that required a whole lot of, it was a very heavy lift to get them approvals. It was a very heavy lift. They had to go into the day and a specific time in the middle of the week. And so that became a real problem for us. And what we've done now is we've broken the program down into chunks where individuals are doing one specific thing. So if somebody is, for example, doing post-release mentoring, somebody comes home, they need a mentor, they need somebody to help them navigate. Now I can offer that opportunity to somebody who maybe can't get off work at 11 a.m. on a Thursday. But they can, they can be there for somebody who's come home from prison and needs someone to help them navigate because they can arrange those appointments and meetings around both of their schedules. So we kind of diversified our opportunities. Thinking about your problem when you're talking about tutoring, I wonder if there might be an opportunity to have like after school tutoring, weekend tutoring. Something where you're working with the children and the parents to have someone go out and meet them on a Saturday. If they need some extra help, that would allow you to engage that group in addition to the program that you currently very successfully run with the retired women and continue to use that. We'll kind of do both, and that's what we've had to do.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love, those are excellent suggestions, and sort of brings up something that I know our circle started during COVID, when we couldn't meet in person. But we found, and we have a very diverse board. If you look at our website, you'll see it, but Howard County is a diverse community, so. But we decided, we had to do virtual meetings, and, people really liked it, and we do them like a 5:30 start for our board meetings. And we decided after talking to our board members and committees, we now do it for all of them. We've left all of our meetings virtual. So we don't, again, we get together, we have a pink party once a year, that's my pink dress. But again, all of our board meetings and committee meetings are virtual because again, you do need to meet people where they are. Again, most of the women on our board, a good number, are working still. So they don't get off until 5 o'clock or even later. And so, the fact, and we let them call in if they were driving home. We have a orthodontist who's on our board and, she doesn't finish till 5:30, and so she's going to be driving home. So she calls in, but it doesn't matter. She's at least on the call. Everybody else, we try to get on to be on in Zoom visually. But, again, that may be something, but I love your idea about like either evenings for a younger working person or weekends. Those are, I don't know, would that work, do you think, no, it has to be in the afternoon.
Well, so part of our mandate is that we bring in younger tutors because younger children relate more effectively with younger
Sure,
people.
absolutely.
And we are restricted by the school hours, the traditional school hours, and even after school hours are earlier than after work hours for most of us.
Yeah.
So by 4:30 or 5 o'clock, most after school programs have ended,
Right.
right? So again, we're looking for those younger people, and we get calls all the time. People are interested, but it's,
The timing.
employers, and I think maybe try to get the message out to employers how important it is.
I think that's it, the employers, and then one other thing, checking about your community college. I can't, because again, they have students have flexible schedule, and especially they have early childhood learning programs. Or secondary.
Programs at the community college of Baltimore County, there's locations all over, they have honors programs. Those kids those students, I'm sorry. Are amazing, and they're required to do some service hours, and they're required to have long-term projects. Towson is a teaching college, Stevenson's around. Coppin and Oregon, they, great life there, and some of the sororities. I've gotten some of my best volunteers from Coppin State University. These young women and men are so dedicated. Reach out to them. If you can't find any employers, start calling colleges.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
And there's at Coppin State University, Dr. Tanya Pearl runs the nonprofit leadership program.
Yeah.
So she's.
So that's good. Okay, so we saw one wrong. They're at 1, 2, 3 at least here, and somebody maybe in the back.
She took my suggestion. I was just.
So 3 of us had the same idea about community college.
No, mine was just all sororities. So I've had just, the number of successful drives and the amount of time that the sorority members will put in with a woman individually. I think that sororities are also good ways, fraternities, sororities, even a lot of times on the master's level when they have already graduated undergrad and they're still actively engaged. And then you have so many different chapters within the sororities. So make sure that you're putting it out to all chapters, but I'm quite sure that's a great place for you to get.
Great suggestion. Thank you. That's excellent. Okay. All right. Yes, you had one other comment.
Okay. Yeah, just to piggyback on the last two, I'm Brady from the Family Crisis Center of Baltimore County. We were also having issues bringing in volunteers. What we ended up doing was transition. We were still seeking out volunteers, but we transitioned and seeking interns. And then trying to get that young population. We target CCBC, UMBC, Towson, UB. We just had 2 interns from UB that were fantastic. Morgan State, we just had a fantastic intern working with our new behaviors program. And then on top of what you were saying, for the volunteers, we've noticed, like, for example, we work with the Zetas, and Zetas, they will go out of their way to ensure that whatever we ask, they do it. And even they would go out of their working schedule and come and volunteer if we need them during the week. But that's just my 2 cents.
Thank you. No, that's great, Brady. Thank you very much. You're gonna have a lot of volunteers, I think. You're gonna have a plethora of them. Yes, you had a question.
I just wanted to quadruple on what everyone else is saying, but the interns from colleges is a great option. We just had 2 from Morgan State, and they're in a sorority and they're psychology graduates or undergrad. They are seeking, if we have a tutor program where you're working with children, or we had them working on our mock interviews and other different tasks around the office, but they were with us for 17 weeks. Like 15 hours a week, and as long as you're connected to their professor, they can gain credit and just help you, in those hours you're seeking. And also with virtual options has really helped us bridge that gap where we just offer like virtual resume review for 1 hour a week, and people can sign up for that. So that has increased our numbers and allowed us to reach out to people that are working during the day and not just focused on retirees, which generally can come in to our nonprofit during the day. So sororities, interns, and virtual options.
So I'm curious, for those of you who have mentioned interns a couple times, do you have to pay your interns to recruit them, or are they?
No.
They're basically working.
I think we paid 2 interns. And that's really fellowship for our counseling, department, but 95% of our interns are unpaid.
Yeah, they're getting college credit.
Yeah, getting.
Hey, they're paying.
Right, they're paid to get credit and get their volunteer hours.
I would say it's very important, to her point, is to get connected with the professors. Because you don't need just one intern for 3 months. You know,
Continually.
our organizations need help consistently for 12 months. So once one semester ends, the professor says, hey, I have somebody else for you. And it's like a never ending cycle. So it's important to get connected with the professors.
Great suggestion, really good. Okay, yes, question.
I was gonna say, I'm Franny Lerner from Planned Parenthood. So we do pay our interns, which, we have a program, we work with historical Black colleges and universities, and so the VP of Education created a program she calls like Health Incubator Program, where she's trying to reach out to students of color to have them be like educators and mentors for younger people. And so she believes that, you know, we should pay people for their time. So it's great, but it's hard to get that, you know, like she tries to have a core of like maybe 10 to 20 interns, like, you know, throughout the school year. And so we need funding. And so we had a grant one year through the city that was like $100,000. So that's great. We could, in trying to pay them like $15 an hour. So, you know, because yeah, people are paying for school, but like they still need to live, you know, like
That's true.
just because you're volunteer, I mean, you know, like you need money. So it's wonderful to be able to pay them. And, you know, being responsible for grants, myself and my colleague Rosie, you know, we haven't been able to find another grant to support that program. So do we just not do the program? Do we not pay them? And then what's the precedent that we're setting or starting if we, you know, so I just wanted to put that out there that we shouldn't think, you know, young people are just like a pool of free workers. I mean, if retirees want to be free workers, because you have your 401k, which we know isn't doing so well now, but you know, whatever. So I just wanted to put that thought out there, you know,
Well, and women traditionally, I mean, you know, women make less than men. I mean, it's a fact. So, you know, why are women not being paid for it? But I also understand the other side as a nonprofit, they don't have a lot of money. Their dollars are stretched thin. And so, you know, I guess you have to find what's gonna work best for your organization. That's what I would say, but I think you've got a lot of good ideas, so, yes.
We do have Towson and UB interns that are unpaid, but they get credit. But the thing that I really say to keep like to center with that is make sure that you're creating an educational environment. Like remember that they're there because they're there to learn. They're there to have like basically a class in the field and learn how to become good workers. And so make sure that you're investing that time in them and making it worth it, and make sure that you're giving them your connections. We have criminal justice interns and sociology interns. I take them to the reentry fair. I introduce them to the assistant secretary and the directors and the people they do their resume to graduate. And I really like center that and make sure that I'm giving them something valuable, even though the program isn't set up for them to be paid. I make sure, you know, I write them letters at the end. I give them recommendations. I let them use me as a reference. You know, there's a lot of ways that you can give someone something valuable.
Those actually are probably as valuable if more than money, like, you know, getting connections with people, because again, that's how you will build your career. So thank you. You have great suggestions there.
There was this woman in the back had her hand up.
Oh, yes.
Jeanette Graham, also, that we had to change, the way we do volunteer, to, in-state. There's a lot of students who wanted to do volunteer hours, so they can apply. So we do apply to as well. Additionally, those students who have IEP 504, detention, teen parents, they don't normally fit the traditional school setting. So what we had to do was take the daytime too and put them with someone in the evening, and let them meet during the day, because they can meet virtually, get lunch break, and say, this student's had a problem with time management. And from there, they say, okay, well, they can meet during the day, but I can meet them. So basically, your tutors and teachers out for the youth and the and then, especially if they're in hospital, they have those secretaries. I also suggest that if you're at that school, find out what other community partners who specialize in alternative care. Because at grassroots, they may have a grant, they may come volunteer, because we volunteer several, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and private schools. So we can deal with their case management needs, so that the students can actually focus on activity needs. Because sometimes you can't even teach them a lesson or help them if they got other things going on at home. So just kind of matching up another student has availability, and incentives. So we do recommendation letters to colleges, we do recommendation letters to sororities, exactly like I said, we also offer them, if they know how we work with us as an intern or volunteer, you know, next grant season is July 1, we need to be able to hire you part-time. So we've got some of our great staff from interns.
Thank you very much.
Can I do a quick time check?
Fishing.
Yeah, our schedule, I think we're gonna go to smaller group. Right.
We have 2 more minutes.
We got 2 more minutes. All right, so a couple more questions.
From Immigration Officer Service Center, I just want to make all the conversation because we have a tutoring program every each Saturday. But from a different college like the Notre Dame, Catholic University, even the high school students, they teach for the kindergarten and one and 2 grade students. So this is a kind of, and how we can, not only for the tutoring, but we have a senior tutors from the IBAC,